Cass Elliot carried one of her greatest secrets to her grave. Nobody knew who her child's real father was. It was only years later that Elliot's bandmate Michelle Phillips discovered his identity, and it was the biggest bombshell of all. She was the breakout star of the folk rock band The Mamas and the Papas, but her onstage talent masked her tragic true story, full of unrequited love, embarrassing career blunders, secret trysts, and dangerous diets. Her struggle with her self-image haunted her right until she sang her last note, with one mean myth that persists to this day. Ellen Naomi Cohen was born in Baltimore, Maryland in September 1941. Her family, who were Russian Jewish immigrants, struggled financially throughout her childhood, but despite those hardships, she always seemed destined for greatness. She had nothing if not a radiant personality and oodles of talent, but she also had her demons. Even from a young age, Cass struggled with her weight and the stigma that came along with it. In high school, she found a community that allowed her talents to soar. She developed a love for theatre and performing in front of audiences. She came up with a stage name, Cass Elliot, by reportedly borrowing from the legendary actress Peggy Cass and a friend who had died. This alter ego gave her the confidence to perform. What she did with that newfound confidence was risky. Having discovered her true talent, Cass dropped out of high school and moved to New York to pursue a career in acting. However, Broadway wasn't kind to her. After losing out on a role to the as-yet unknown Barbra Streisand, Cass turned to singing, hoping that music wouldn't break her heart like theatre had. She was horribly wrong. Breaking out into music, Cass met with moderate success. She formed two bands between 1962 and 64, the Big Three and later the Mugwumps. In fact, it was while singing with the Mugwumps that she met Denny Doherty, the man that she would follow to the ends of the earth. In the first cruel twist to her romantic life, however, she became unexpectedly unavailable. Even though Cass was in love with Doherty, she ended up getting hitched to another one of her bandmates. In 1963, Cass married her Mugwumps guitarist, James Hendricks. There wasn't any love between the two. The marriage was a simple arrangement to help Hendricks dodge the draft. Because her marriage was a sham, Cass knew that her only real tie to Hendricks was their band. So, after 8 months, the Mugwumps split up, and Cass struck out on her own, hoping that Doherty would follow her. Instead, however, he joined the New Journeymen, a band that consisted of the husband and wife duo John and Michelle Phillips. Cass was willing to do anything to get into the new band. Doherty had so far rebuffed Cass as a lover because of her weight, but he couldn't deny her talent, and he knew that she was the missing ingredient in the New Journeymen. But John Phillips didn't want to let Cass in the band. Apparently he thought that her voice was too deep for his arrangements. In private, however, he was singing a different tune. Publicly, Phillips stated that Cass's voice wasn't right for the New Journeymen. Behind closed doors, he was extremely critical of her appearance. Phillips believed that Cass was simply too heavy to join the group. Her already shaky confidence could barely handle the truth. Throughout her life and career, Cass faced society's unfair beauty standards. In a time that celebrated wafer-thin women like Audrey Hepburn, Cass felt that she didn't stand a chance. Despite John Phillips' repeated refusals, Cass was desperate to join the New Journeymen, to get closer to Doherty. According to Michelle Phillips, Cass even followed the band around everywhere they went. What they put her through was downright cruel. As she followed them around, the New Journeymen treated Cass even worse than they would have treated an annoying groupie. They ordered her around, forced her to serve them drinks, and even teased her by allowing her to rehearse with them but not perform. However, fortunately for Cass, the tables were about to turn dramatically in her favour. The New Journeymen had a habit of putting good times ahead of their music, spending more money on substances than on anything else. Eventually they ran out of money and had to turn to the only person they knew who would take them in.